Good evening, everybody. Welcome to sunny Australia for the amazing Australian Grand Prix here for round number 4 of RL Global on the PC platform. My name is Dan, and we are going to be taking you here round number 4. And I'm not alone, of course, being joined by Austin, but we are headed to the 5.3 kilometer circuit with 16 turns in total, 3 DRS zones for the drivers to utilise in this session. And it's going to be a brilliant Grand Prix. As I previously mentioned, I'm not alone tonight. I'm being joined by the one, the only, Austin Smith. Austin, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastically, Dan. Very much looking forward to this. You say it's sunny in Australia. I'm not so sure. I was doing a single-player race around here earlier today, just for a bit of fun to get to know the track a little bit more, re-familiarize myself with it. And it was raining, so it certainly is a possibility around here to see some rain. But it's been a while in real life since we saw the last rainy Australian Grand Prix. To be fair, it's been a while since we saw a Australian Grand Prix. That was in 2019, of course. Thanks to COVID, that wasn't so much the case in 2020 or 2021. But yeah, looking at it right now, I mean, it's not sunny for sure, but it's not raining either. I think this is sort of somewhere in between. And it's going to make things interesting for the drivers. Maybe there's going to be some rain on the way for the race. That could definitely happen. Either way, I think this is going to be a fun one in qualifying and the race.
Absolutely. You might be able to hear in the background just the crowd getting a bit excited for this race, but we'll quickly just run through. We'll be doing 29 laps in total, as previously mentioned, 5.3 kilometers in length, and it's going to be 153 kilometers in total around here. Let's just have a quick look at the tyre situation, and I've not changed it for Abu Dhabi. That is my mistake there. I do apologise. So we'll just head on to the previous race results. We're headed, it was at Abu Dhabi, as previously mentioned. Danny Moreno took the win in that one, taking his first points of the season in style, and he managed to just pip Liam Parnell towards the end of the Grand Prix. He finished in second. Louis Welch rounding off the podium, making it a 1-3 for the Mercedes outfit. Dario Yamulo also had a pretty strong Grand Prix after his struggles in Bahrain. He managed to finish in fourth with 12 points, and Shizu Yari managed to take up fifth position, 10 points going back for the Renault team. Kurzi, a very strong performance from him in sixth position, 8 points going back to Alfa Romeo, and a debut driver actually. It was Vexit in seventh position. He is a reserve, but he was racing for the McLaren team, and he managed to take 6 points home. So really strong stuff from him. Domi in eighth, then Alex O'Grady also on his debut in ninth. Pablo Hogalar in 10th, rounding out the points, and the rest of the drivers are as follows: Krusix, J. Cole, Jake Benham, Sink Calvin, OMG It's Joe, Sink Bryn, Nicholas Mateo, VRT Duza, Dylan Warren, and VSR Andy. Let's see how all of this has affected the drivers' standings, and it's a little bit crazy at the moment. Right, I have no clue what has gone on there. I think we'll just head into the race, into qualifying here, because I've made a bit of a stinker of this, of all these graphics. But looking at qualifying now, a little bit overcast over here. We've got a couple of drivers on their out laps. I actually believe we've got a couple of drivers on their push laps here.
Yeah, first one is going to be Pablo Hogalar, who is running through the first sector right now. He's going to be the first one at the second sector split, and it will be 26.1 for him there in the first sector. It's a decent time he's setting down there. Now through the middle sector. Of course, this will change for 2021, as we are awaiting the Australian Grand Prix at some point to still happen. Just not as the season opener this year, but that turns 9 and 10 there change a little bit. 11 and 12 stay exactly the same though, and that's one of the trickiest part of the track. He does stay within the track limits, and that is crucial. I think we will see a lot of drivers invalidate there through 13. Tricky one to get right. There's a car on the side. That's one of the Ferraris. That would be either Bryn or J. Cole. Number 15 here, penultimate corner. Tricky one. You want to get it right. There's so many ways to get it wrong. And then through the final corner there, turn 16, you want to stay on the throttle as much as possible, especially in qualifying. And that is a 119.1 for Pablo Hogalar. First time down. And who's going to be next? A couple drivers are aborting their laps. Vexit coming across the line for him, it will be a 1:18.7. Beats Hoglaw by about 3.5 tenths of a second. And Leonard 2 seconds down. Jake in P3 now in the McLaren, only 0.5 tenth behind Hoglaw, and more times coming.
Yep, more drivers finishing up on their runs. It's a Ferrari car just about to cross the line. That's Bryn. He goes into 4th position. Leonard, I don't think that's a representative time of his pace. I'm sure he can go quicker. A Haas car now in the final sector. That is one of our guest drivers, Michael, tonight. He has not been able to put in a valid lap. I believe he's going to go for another push lap here. Reuben Pedrano is going to be the next one to cross the line. Not to put a lap so far, but what about here for the... well, I actually think he was invalid because he didn't do a lap at all. Anyways, we'll see. Liam just crossed the line right up to the top so far for him. About almost 1/10 and a quarter above his rival of Pogsit tonight. That is Vexit. He's changed his name for tonight. But yeah, that is Vexit. Interesting choice of name there.
Yeah, we've seen a few interesting choices of names before, but just, you know, I mean, one of us has the letters YO at the end of their names. You know, I'm not going to say which one of us it is, but, you know, that certainly is a little bit of an homage to Liam, who is currently leading as we have Leonard cross the line and actually improve on his second lap on these tires up to P3. So the first lap really wasn't it. The second lap, however, pretty decent.
Yeah, absolutely. Going up into 3rd position. He's not too far off the top at the moment, but I definitely think we're riding on board with someone who has a chance for pole position around here. It's the Mercedes car of Louis Welch. He's in 11th position at the moment. Of course, he hasn't put in a lap time whatsoever, but he is looking very quick. He was purple through sector 2. We'll see him now coming through turn number 15, one of the slowest parts of the circuit, this 3rd sector, out the final corner to go flat to the floor, up towards the line, rising up the gears and rising up the acceleration. It's only 3rd position for Louis Welch, but he's not too far off of his rivals as it stands. I don't believe anyone else is actually on a push lap at this moment in time, unless Kersey is. No, he's in the final sector, but he's not pushing on a run. So a couple drivers on their out laps. One of them I spy with my little eye, a certain Danny Moreno in the 3rd sector, and I think he'll be beginning up his lap. And given that he won the last race in pretty convincing fashion, rising up 15 positions in that race, you gotta tip him for pole position today.
Yeah, certainly. I think of all the drivers here, he's the one with the highest name recognition. He's the one with the biggest pedigree of all the drivers here. So I would be very surprised if he does not end up, at the very least, in the top 3. But pole position, certainly, he is the best bet. He's the best choice there. But we have another car in front of him on a lap right now. That would be Dylan Warren, currently sitting in 17th there in the Racing Point. His teammate, obviously, Liam, currently provisional pole sitter, but Dylan Warren is up by 1/10 on Liam's time, so this might be, if the final sector is good enough, this might be the new provisional pole time and a Racing Point 1-2. Looking at this, I'm going on board to see if there's any kind of mistake. These two corners here, not so much. He could have chosen a bit more on turn 14 there. Turn 15 didn't look that good either. If he lost it, it was those two corners. If he gained it, he just about gained it. What is it going to be? It is a 118.5, and he does save some of his advantage across the line there, but it got close. Danny Moreno, meanwhile, has invalidated. No chance for him on this lap, at least. Next one will be VRT Duza, who is also invalidated, so we can immediately move on to Zerix, who is now in the final sector. His first 2 sector splits, if I can quickly find them. Yeah, 47.9. He's about 6/10 off of Dylan Warren. That would be good enough right now for about, I would assume, P12, unfortunately, because in the final sector, he should lose more time. Never mind. He has invalidated, but a 119.4 would have been exactly right there, P12. No improvement, though, for him after that. Reuben Pedrano coming across the line. It doesn't show a lap. I think he might be on an out lap, and it seems like he is indeed. Hoglaw starting a lap. Liam starting a lap. More and more drivers just about to start a lap. J. Cole is about to come across the line. He's also down 6/10 of a second. So for him, he's also looking to maybe battle with Bryn, his teammate, with Kersey, but I think he will be behind them And indeed, he is by about 0.2 of a second behind Bryn. P12 for him right now. As we get more and more drivers, I think the next one, is it going to be Danny Moreno on a push lap again? No, he's taken out of it 53.8 after 2 sectors, so definitely 6 seconds behind Dylan Warren. That is an in lap for sure. Who else do we have? We have a McLaren coming our way. That's an out lap. Is anyone on a flyer right now? That's my question, really. I think Duza might be, but he hasn't validated, so we can immediately throw that under the bus as well. And I don't know if you see someone, Dan. I don't.
Yeah, well, I'm watching Liam at the moment. He's almost 2/10 up on his previous best lap. He is responding to his teammate through turn number 4. This is actually turn 12 now for him. Up towards the final sector comes Liam. He's improved in every sector so far, and he is going to be the favourite for one of the top positions. Reuben Pedrano just crossed the line into 4th position. He went on an 18.8, but this is Liam Barnell, the Racing Point car, flying towards the line. What's it going to be for him? It's going to be a 1 minute 18.453. Brilliant stuff from him there, jumping his teammates. A front row lockout for the Racing Point outfit so far. Really strong showing from them in this qualifying session. Crew 6, he was on a push lap. Unfortunately, he did invalidate on his run, so he won't be putting in a representative time. Louis Welch on an out lap, so I don't think we can really follow him. There's a McLaren in the final sector. That's Jake. This isn't Jake Benham. Jake Benham's not racing here tonight. This is a different Jake. I believe he goes by Jake Racing normally. He's about 1.5 tenths up on his previous best lap, and this could be a stark improvement up the order if he can maintain this gap. We'll see him up to the line. He derates across it, and he did lose time in that final sector as more drivers finish up on their runs. I believe Leonard just crossed the line, and he managed to jump Reuben Pedrano on an 18.7. So more and more times coming out here, looking very, very good in this qualifying session. I'm trying to find anyone who could potentially be on a push lap. Louis Welch at the moment. He's through the first sector, and he could be a candidate for pole position with 7 minutes left in the session. It's going to be his second push lap. He's already on actually, he's not on 1 tyres. His previous best lap was on 2 lap-old soft tyres, so he is going to be pushing with all his might. And unfortunately, through the death chicane, he has invalidated his run. So really unfortunate from Louis Welch. He's looking really good through the first sector and throughout most of the second sector as well. But it was just really easy mistake for him to do. He's running number 13, and well, it's unlucky for some, and I think it was unlucky for him there.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Pogsit in P3. He didn't move up the order, but he certainly did improve his time by 1.5 tenths. He was pretty close to Leonard there, just ahead of P4. Now he's put himself almost 2 tenths ahead of the guest driver in the Red Bull. So a massive improvement there for him. We are seeing, I think, Andy. No, Andy hasn't validated. Duza is about to start a lap. Who else do we have? Danny Moreno just started a lap. Yeah, we don't really have that much going on right now. It seems a lot of drivers going back into the pit lane. Andy into the pit lane as well. And I'm trying to find right now if we have anyone who's on a flyer right now. It doesn't really seem like, at least not in the final sector. Maybe Julian has invalidated, so never mind. Dylan Warren then in P2. He hasn't invalidated. He is going on 1, and first 2 sectors were looking not much improvement there. Slight improvement, 1/100th of a second. Just about. He needs to find more time here in the final sector. Has he done so? Can he dethrone his teammate? No, he cannot. Misses out by just 1/100th of a second, and that is exactly pretty much what he lost in the first sector there. If he had been able to repeat his first sector split from the first lap, he would have had provisional pole position.
Yeah, I do think that is highly contributed to him running into a lot of traffic in that final sector. We've seen Duza crash out of the session. That is at turn 11 and turn 12, and he is not going to be able to take part in the rest of this session. Really unfortunate for him, to be completely honest, but Xerix is on a push lap at the moment through the final sector up towards the line. What's it going to be for the guest driver today? It's only good enough for 14th position, only jumping ahead of J. Cole at this moment in time. Danny Moreno unfortunately invalidated on his push lap, so he, I believe he did it at turn number 7 if I'm not mistaken, where he's about to come up to now. So really unfortunate that was the situation for him. We'll see Crew 6 through the final sector. He's not been able to put in a lap time this time by, but he is on a flyer at the moment through the final sector, and he's taking that really nicely. Bit of a snap on exit there, really struggling to get the car beneath him, but out the final corner, I'd say he's lost a chunk of time through that part of the lap, and indeed that probably could have been higher than 12th position, but still starting outside the top 10 here, it's not the end of the world. It's still a pretty good position to be in, really, if you do have the alternate strategy. But right now you'll be noticing a lot of drivers, they're in the pit lane. I'd say in the next minute or so that'll all completely change.
Yeah, this is the calm before the storm, as I always like to call it, and that means a lot of drivers are heading towards the pit lane right now as well. We don't see many on runs. We have Reuben Pedrano actually trying to improve his lap time. He might actually pull into the pit lane as well. Hasn't invalidated there. That was close. Here, same thing for turns 13 and 14. He really knows how far he can go, but he still goes into the pit lane. He just about saved it with a quick reset to track there. That just about did it. Otherwise, he would have ended up in the wall, in the pit entry wall, and that would have been potentially his qualifying over. I mean, there are two ways this can go, or three ways this can go. Either he's able to continue and has to repair, at which point the repairs might take too long, or he just immediately crashes out, the car's too damaged, and it's over for him, or he gets wedged. I mean, this pit entry is not that wide. You might very well Austin Powers yourself accidentally, at which point you will be disqualified and start from the very back of the grid for blocking the pit lane entry. So very smart of Pedrano here to use the reset to track feature, reset the track button, reset to track button, sorry, and make sure. Oh, and I lost connection to Steam, so I need an invite.
I think a lot of these drivers, everyone is losing connection. There might have actually just, the game's completely crashed, it seems. I think we might need a lobby restart. As Bryn goes into the wall. Everyone is leaving the session. Louis Welch has left. Reuben Pedrano has also left. I'm going to quickly just have a look in the Twitter chat, seeing if any of these guys are not happy. Yeah, no, they're all disconnecting. Oh dear, there's going to be many glitches. We'll just need a lobby restart at this point. Hopefully maybe they can just consider this qualifying to be over and we can get straight into the race. But that'll be really, I'd say it'll be a bit unfair on the drivers behind. So I'm not too sure. I don't really have any information at the moment, but we may need to redo qualifying here. I'm not too sure really what to do. Everyone is retiring from the session. I believe that we might actually have to use for the first time the technical difficulties screen. So everyone, we will see you in a bit when everything is back underway, and we will get back to you very, very shortly. Hello, everybody. We are back. A decision has been made about what we should do with qualifying, and I do believe that we will be doing a whole other 18-minute session. So everything has been completely wiped from the previous one. It is very frustrating for these drivers that were on for good laps. I know that some of these guys, like Dylan, he was on second, I believe, and he was not happy. Because he just wanted to keep that position. Now it is all up in the air as to who will take pole in this race, but we will be getting underway very soon. Dynamic weather has also been enabled, so I wonder if that will mean that we will be back for. We could have some rain at some point. I know it was dry in that qualifying session that we just had, but it could be raining here.
Yeah, very interesting. Usually, the way it works, I think, for most leagues that I've seen, is that if there is some issue like that, you try and restore the session as much as you can and restore what has happened already. But the decision here is a little different, and I'm all for it. You know, we get another full qualifying session, we get another roll of the dice, and maybe this time we get some rain for either the race or qualifying or both. So it's going to be interesting to see if the drivers have to adjust, and if they do adjust, how well they do adjust. So going to be very interesting to see what's going on here with the drivers and how they handle this. However, it might also be that the settings are going to be changed to clear. Maybe Liam Parnell, who is the admin, basically will still change the weather. He hasn't readied up yet, which makes me think that there might be a change coming, possibly to the weather. But we'll see. Right now it's set to dynamic, so we might find ourselves with potentially some rain. And I would like to see it in qualifying, not so much in the race, for the simple reason that, as we know, overtaking in the rain is borderline impossible.
Yeah, especially at a circuit like Australia, like Albert Park, it is very difficult to actually find an avenue to overtake. Even in turn number one, that's pretty quick corner as far as turn ones go. Turn number three, you do have an opportunity. Elsewhere on the circuit, turn 13 is probably your only other place where you can make a legitimate move, and that, of course, is under DRS. So in the rain, when that's not going to be enabled, it'll be very difficult for drivers to actually make a move on the other cars. So hopefully, if we do see rain, it will be in qualifying. I do always love a wet qualifying because it just throws the grid up in the air. Some drivers might be better in the wet conditions than they are the dry, and some of our normally top dogs, they might struggle a little bit and find themselves a little further down the order. But then, of course, when dry conditions come in the race, then they are on another level and they just make a bunch of overtakes. So if we do see that, that would be what I would like to see, but not really much to talk about at the moment. I guess we could kind of talk based on what we saw in that previous qualifying session. Who really caught your eye in that one? Who was a bit of a shock to you, and who was sort of drivers you'd expect to be where they were?
Well, I think having the championship leader on provisional pole position is what you would expect. So Liam Parnell's the one I look at and go, yep, that makes sense. Him at P1, certainly no surprise there whatsoever. I think talking about surprises, the one who caught me a little bit off guard was I think after last week, a little less so, but Vexit in P3 was certainly a surprise to see him that high up the order. He's talented. He's got some pace with him as well. He got a 7th place last week in Abu Dhabi, so he's not bad. But P3 is a whole different ball game than P7, and for him to end up there. And the other one I look at is Leonard in P5, a guest driver who's filling in for some of the drivers who are doing the F1 Esports Pro exhibition this week. And never heard of him, never seen him race, don't know who he is, but a P5, 3.5 tenths off of Liam Parnell and Dylan Warren. I think that's a very, very respectable lap right there. It's a very respectable qualifying pace, and very interested to see what he can do in this new qualifying session.
Yeah, absolutely. If you couldn't already hear, we are about to get underway in this one once again. If I'm not mistaken, Leonard he's been in a lot of other leagues and he's been really competitive as well. I'm actually looking at one of the main PC leagues, ORL, in season 13. He took a win in that one, so he's a very quick driver. I would like to point that it's actually the B League that he was racing in. But I think now is a better time than ever to go right into qualifying. We're just waiting for a couple more drivers to load in and just select what tyres they want to use in this session. And we will get underway just very quickly here. I'll put you to the race screen. You can see all the drivers have managed to get back into the lobby. And we'll see how they get on in this session. What is the weather going to be like for this race? We'll just have to see. And it's looking a lot sunnier than it did before in the previous qualifying session. I don't even know if I see a cloud in sight, but we've got another 18-minute qualifying session to take you through here in RL Global on the PC platform. Of course, due to issues previously, we've had to restart the session, but we are back and they are ready.
Yeah, if you are wondering, if you're feeling like this is Groundhog Day, to a degree it is, but no, we had a crash in the first qualifying session. So we get to do it all over again, and another 18 minutes for the drivers here as we see the first ones out of the pit lane and onto the track. One of the first ones is going to be a Williams, it seems. That will be Reuben Pedrano leading the field. Then we've got a Haas in second. That would be Vexit, and then in third we have another Williams. That's Pablo Hoglar. So the Williams actually wasting no time whatsoever to get out on track here. Pedrano and Hoglar, and Pedrano really already being put under pressure here by Vexit. This is almost like they're racing right now. What is going on? This is not how we see qualifying here. Vexit even looking for a move. I mean, what is going on? So many drivers out on track early on. Hold on. Does that mean we might get some rain in the qualifying session? The skies don't look like it, but with how much action there is on track this early on, that Vexit even goes for a move here and overtakes on the outlap, overtakes Pedrano. Did they are they being chased by bees and we just don't see them or something? Because this is not how qualifying usually goes.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. We are in Australia, so there is a lot of creepy crawlies that these guys might have trouble with. But yeah, Reuben Pedrano was the first out on track. Then Vexit has managed to overtake him almost into the third sector there. So we'll see coming on to the beginning of this lap for the Haas car tonight. Of course, one of the reserves, he's coming in towards turn number 29 on that American-based team through the first two corners, taking that very nice and tidily. He's already shown he's a very strong contender for pole position around this circuit in towards turn number 3. He's taking that very nicely there. We'll go on board into the almost driver's eye at the moment. You can see the amount of speed that these guys have to carry through these corners to take those lines as best as he can. And he's had a little bit of slide through turn number 7, but I don't think that'll let him affect him too much. I believe it was a 26.0 through the first sector split in towards turn number 9 and turn 10 and up towards turn 11. He rides the death chicane, as it could be known. Doozer crashed out at this corner in that qualifying session. He's been allowed to take part in this session once again, but we'll not focus on him. We'll focus on the matter at hand, which is Vexit through the third sector. He's just come through turn number 14 now, up towards the penultimate corner, turn number 15, one of the heaviest braking zones on the circuit, and running it out to almost go flat out through the final corner, opening up the steering to run through 7th gear, almost at 300 kilometers per hour, and that's going to be the benchmark for these guys. A lot quicker of a banker time than we saw last time from some of these drivers. It's an 18.7.
Yeah, we got more times now. Pedrano also with an 18.7, Doozer 19.2. There goes Liam Parnell with an 18.6. Who's going to be next? It will be a Haas. That would be Michael, FRL Michael. He's coming across the line. Will probably be 4th. Oh, actually 5th. That final sector was not it. Crucix is going back into the pit lane. A lot of drivers are. Leonard right now coming across the line. For him, it's not a good lap. 120.2. Alex O'Grady, 119.1. We have Louis Welch back into the pit lane. We are now waiting for Kersey, and I lost connection again, and my game totally crashed.
Yeah, more and more drivers losing connection. Julian Nalban was one of them. Andreas Dormeyer is one of them. I've just seen you've left the session as well. I don't believe this. If everyone's leaving the session and it's all glitching out, if you don't have an invite, I can provide you one. But it is just silly how bad the servers are tonight. I don't know what we're going to do about it. Meanwhile, Bino has crossed the line. He goes into... I need to get that pronunciation right. It's all the Spanish names that always get me around in commentators. I believe it's actually Bino, so I will get that one correct from now on. I'm trying to find anyone else.
It's not.
Oh, for goodness sake!
It's Baena.
Baena. Right. How do I say?
I think so.
Ika.
Yes, Ika. Yes.
Ika.
Ika Casillas.
I think I'll try stick with that one. I think that's a bit easier for me. But he's gone into P6. Kersey is one of the only drivers on a push lap at the moment for the Alfa Romeo outfit. He's just coming through the final sector now. He's looking pretty strong on this lap so far in that number 2 car. And I'm just seeing in the Twitter chat, Liam is actually typing. I'm really not looking forward to what he has to say. And Dylan Warren's left the session. I'm really hoping we don't need another restart. Oh no, everyone's leaving. This is a joke how this session has gone so far. Kersey does go into 4th position. Okay. I won't read out what Liam has said because I don't think it really want to be read out directly on stream. But yeah, the connection issues still plaguing this lobby. Couple more drivers on runs at the moment, but I'm not too sure who's the furthest up on a push lap.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait and see. I'm trying to rejoin right now. The good news is that in this session, at least, the disconnect happened early. With the disconnect happening early, the drivers have some time to rejoin. And it's not a completely wasted qualifying session. It's just a little bit of time being lost for them. One less run, maybe 2. But they still have some opportunity with 11.5 minutes left. They still have a chance here to get something going, get something done. But yeah, it's not exactly actually almost 12 minutes still left. There's still an opportunity for the drivers to rejoin and get a good lap time onto the timing sheets as I think more and more drivers have hopefully rejoined. I don't actually have any game sound. There we go, that fixed it. That was a bit weird seeing cars race and you hear nothing. I was a bit worried for a second there. Who is on a lap right now? I'm trying to find that. We have 2 Williams. That would be Pablo Joglar. Yeah, and he is on a lap, actually. And a pretty good one as well. That could challenge, definitely for top 3 there. Could challenge his teammate Pedrano, could challenge Vexic, could challenge Liam. All 3 of those are possible. What's the final sector going to say? 1 minute 18.7. He's right in the thick of it. P2, front row at least for now. Pedrano, meanwhile, behind him, starting a lap. We have Dylan Warren on an out lap, and so is Liam, who had just started his. Zerix is coming across the line. That is a P13, worst time so far. More drivers coming in. Crucix up to P11, he goes. Bryn coming across the line. For him, it is a P11, moves him down. Andy Dormeyer, 47.3. This could be provisional pole, and it is 118.5, and immediately gets beaten by Louis Welch right behind him by 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, I was riding on board with Louis for that, pretty much the entire, or almost the entirety of that lap, certainly through the final sector. It was really strong from him to go right to the top of this session so far. Really strong from him there, immediately jumping Andreas Dormer. I think he would have probably been a bit happy that, he'd managed to put it on provisional pole. He wasn't able to actually put in a lap in the previous session, and then all of that was just completely shattered by the Mercedes driver of Louis Welch. There's one driver just beginning up on a lap. He was in P2 in the previous session before we had to do the restart, but here is Dylan Warren, the number 66, the Pink Panther, the Racing Point car through the first sector split. He comes here. His teammate currently in 4th position. He was on provisional pole in the previous session. This team looking menacing so far in this qualifying session. Now through sector 2. Here he comes through almost a flat out turn number 8 and in towards turn 9 and turn 10. A pretty difficult chicane to get completely perfect, but he has almost nailed that one there. Looking really strong on this run for Dylan Warren up towards the second sector split. We'll see what time it is. It is a 47.2 for the young British driver, and this could be a very dominant time if he manages to absolutely smash it out the water in the final sector through turn 13 and up towards turn 14. He comes here looking really nice and tidy. Is Dylan Warren, a hot prospect in league racing, the future F1 esports star, I would put it. I'm putting all my money on that in the future, but here he comes to go across the line. What's the time going to be for Dylan Warren? And it is P2, just ahead of his teammate, and only a little bit behind Louis Welch, but the gap tightens at the top. Only 400ths of a second in between it of the two British drivers locking out the front row so far.
Meanwhile, Liam Parnell has backed off his lap right now, 27.3, 22.9 in the first two sectors. That is about 2.5-3 seconds down from his usual time, so he'll be going back into the pit lane, and he is indeed. And I think the same will be true for Reuben Pedrano as he did his lap. Alex O'Grady, however, he's on one, and he's coming through the final corner. That lap, I think, will see him improve. It will by 0.3 of a second and 3 positions as well, up to P8 he goes. We have a Red Bull come across the line. There's Leonard. He has invalidated. No chance of improvement for him. And next up, we're looking at Danny Moreno, who's about to start a lap with 7 minutes left to go, 7.5 roughly. That's going to be an interesting one. The two Haas are in the final sector right now. I think Vexit is or actually one Haas, sorry. The other one was Racing Point. Difficult to tell apart. That pink can look like gray sometimes, but here goes Vexit, and he will try to improve this time. Currently in P7, he doesn't need much to improve and get P6 off of Pablo Joglar, but he doesn't improve at all. It remains P7 for him. As not Alex O'Grady, that's Jake starting a lap.
Yeah, absolutely. But one driver who's already on a lap at the moment is the machine, Danny Moreno, winning the last Grand Prix in Abu Dhabi. Kind of take a vengeance here. He was aiming for P11 on his previous time, or at least that was what he was saying in the Twitter chat. I wonder if he is going to push for pole. He's notoriously started outside the top 10 in every single race he has taken part in, but he is smashing this time out of the water at the moment of 47.1 through the second sector split. Yellow flags through the third sector. I believe that is just drivers getting out of each other's way or beginning up on a run. We've got 6 minutes just about on the dot here left in this session. The 25 car, the beautiful Black Arrow, his teammate getting out of the way in Louis Welch. A big lock up. Okay, yeah, no, he is not aiming for a proper push lap, and he's just going to come back into the pit lane. But what a time he was on for through that second sector split.
Yeah, looking at the times there, 25.9, 21.2 in the middle sector. That combines for a 47.1. That is remarkable. Compare that to Louis Welch's time, which was a 47.3. Yeah, he was 0.2 up on his teammate, and that would have been a 118.1, maybe even a 118.0. And you see that Moreno, by the way, at the end, you saw it maybe. He smashed deliberately into the pit wall on the right side on pit entry. So I think that may be a little bit of frustration from him there, that he locked up in the final, in the penultimate corner, and really sort of ruined his lap that way. He had a little bit of traffic there with his teammate Louis Welch trying to get out of the way, and that may have just put him off a little bit. And he had two Alpha Tauris who were just about to get onto their laps, and who are, by the way, about to finish their laps, as Julian Naumann is also on one. I missed Ikabaena there, but there goes Duza, I think. Nope, Duza has invalidated, so it must have been Andy in P5 who just posted a lap time. And I mean, for Andy Dormeyer, he's very consistent. This second lap he just posted there, 118.597. And his current best, 118.594. He was 3 milliseconds behind his best time. So in terms of consistency, Andy Dormeyer is doing everything right. But he needs to find a little bit of pace if he wants to move up the order for the grid. But P5 so far, not bad for him, as Louis Welch has already invalidated his lap. So not much there coming from him. And let's see who else might be on a lap. Ika Baenya looks like might be J. Cole. Yep, J. Cole's about to finish a lap as he is in the penultimate corner now through the final turn 16. Oh, loses the car almost. Lots of oversteer there, and across the line it will be a 119.3. Well, he gains 2 positions there at least, up to P17 for him.
Yep, absolutely. We're almost at the dying stages of this qualifying session so far. You're absolutely right about Andreas Dormeyer. He's got the consistency down, but he really does need to just improve on his times. He's about 2.5 tenths off of the back of Louis Welch, who did manage to improve once again on a lap. So he is looking like he is very strong in this session, but a driver who is on an out lap at the moment. He's got a Renault car just in front of him. He'll be the first one to really put in his final time, or at least final 2 times. He probably does actually have enough of a gap to do 2 finishing blows to this session. I think Dylan Warren, he just wanted to get ahead of the traffic. His teammate is right in front of him as well. Maybe a little bit of slipstreaming between the two of them could go on board, and I do believe that is actually what's happening, because Liam Parnell just slowing it down. He's a bit late on the straightaway. There's a big bit of lag there, and I think Dylan Warren's backed off on that lap as Liam Parnell, he got out of the way, but he really didn't need to. More drivers though have begun on laps. One of them is one of our guest drivers of Leonard, the Red Bull car. He's about 7 tenths off the pace at the moment on a 19.0. That by no means is a slow lap for the Red Bull car. Filling in for, I believe, it's actually both of them that are on here, so HX4K and OMG, it's Joe. But Leonard at the moment, he is about just under a tenth up on his previous best time, and he's invalidated on the exit of turn number 7. Really unfortunate for him there, but 1 minute and 50 seconds left to go in the session. You'll see a big rush of cars coming out the pit lane just about at turn number 3. It's almost like a Tesco car park there.
Yeah, that's usually what we see in these sessions. Everyone wants to be the last one to make it out on track and to make it on their lap, and that's exactly what we're getting here right now. We have one car that's, or 2 cars that are really leaving it late. One that's leaving it very late. That is J. Cole, who's still in the pit lane. He might not be able to make it out in time, so it might be that his session is already over as the time ticks down. I think at this point it's pretty safe to say he will not be able to make it out, and he has retired. In fact, he knows he will not be able to make it out in time. So for J. Cole, the session is over, but for 19 other drivers, it's only just beginning.
Absolutely, drivers have begun their laps here, one of them being Liam Parnell, the championship leader, coming into this race, and he's looking really strong so far in this qualifying session. Before the restart, of course, he was leading the way in the session. He was on provisional pole, but that has been snatched away from him by his teammates of Dylan Warren and well, he's not his teammate, but it's certainly a rival in this race, Louis Welch. And look at that, how about that for a first sector? Already a 10th improvement for the German driver, through now in towards turn number 9 and up towards turn 10 and then towards 11 here, the death chicane, which catches out so many drivers in the race and in qualifying as well. But Liam Parnell, he's got the gall to do it, and he's just improving by about a 10th. Really nice run through there, a little bit of a slide, but I think that might have actually helped him get the back end through the corner. He's got a Red Bull car just in front of him. He's going to get out of the way very nicely. Nice and respectful there. Reuben Pedrano actually crosses crosses the line, he goes into provisional pole only by 3 thousandths on Louis Welch, who is also on a lap at this point in time, as Danny Moreno wasn't able to put in a representative lap time. But here comes Liam Parnell up towards the line. What's it going to be for the German driver? It's going to be provisional pole position here, only by 200 or about 300 of a second. But we do have more drivers through the final sector at the moment. Dylan Warren not pushing. He won't be improving. Kersey going into 5th position there. Louis Welch, though, we have to watch him because he's improving as well. This could be pole for the British driver in the Mercedes car. And I think we're all too familiar with a Mercedes driver being British and absolutely dominating the scene. We'll see him up towards the line. Louis Welch to cross it here, and it is not enough to beat Liam Parnell. Only about 15 thousandths of a second in it there. So really unfortunate that he wasn't able to jump his rival Andreas Dormeyer in 8th position at the moment, only improving marginally on his previous best time through the final sector, touching the grass on entry, kind of, I guess, just helping himself slow the car down. But out of the final corner, he might pick up a little bit of a slipstream from his teammate Duza at the moment to cross the line. Here comes VSR Andy, and it is an improvement, but it's not enough. A 118.587, and you are damn right about that consistency factor. Austin Bryn invalid on his lap, and I don't think Reuben Pedrano is pushing. Well, he's 17 seconds off his previous best lap. I think that is an end to our qualifying session. Liam Parnell on pole here, Louis Welch in 2nd, Reuben Pedrano in 3rd. How about that for those gaps? The top 4 all separated by 1/10 of a second.
Yeah, it's getting really, really close. In fact, we have the top 17 separated by a second. So, and 18th and 19th are not far off the second. So, Xerix and J. Cole, they're 1.06 between all 19. And considering who 20th is in Danny Moreno, the only one to not set a lap time, I think it's safely to say all 20 drivers pretty close here. But it is Liam Parnell, the championship leader, on pole position. Louis Welch 2nd, Reuben Pedrano 3rd, and Vexit in 4th. The top 4 drivers, the top 2 front rows, 4 different teams. So this can get interesting for the Constructors' Championship, which Racing Point is currently leading by 1 point ahead of McLaren. If we look at where McLaren is right now, 7 and 14, certainly an opportunity here. Red Bull quite far down the order as well, as is AlphaTauri. So a big chance for Racing Point to get themselves a really good result and increase that gap in the Constructors' Championship.
Yep, so we're about to head into the race here. And well, that was a very fast loading time there. I think we'll be right into the session, as here we are, nice and sunny in Australia. That is what we love to see. The summer sun going to be beating down on the circuit, and it'll be very easy to get temps into the tyres. But we're going to be waiting for these drivers to get underway. They're just going to be locking in their strategies at the moment, and of course they will be changing their fuel loads as well, and really just communicating with their teammates for the last time in a joking way, because these drivers, they go hard in this league. Of course, it is a pretty serious competition between some of these guys, very close in the championship at the moment. Liam Parnell, he is leading the way in this race, and he's leading the championship. So this could be a very good opportunity for him to take the lead of the standings by a commanding margin. We'll just have to wait and see. 15 seconds before they get into this one. How are we thinking about the strategy? What do you think will all go down here?
So I think what we're definitely going to see is almost every driver, unless they have some kind of damage or some kind of, let's call it an emergency in some case, damage, pitting early, whatever it is, we will see all drivers on softs, not at the start, but at some point in the race, all drivers will want to use the softs. Of course, most of the ones, in fact, all of the ones outside the top 10 don't want to start on them, but they sure want to finish on them. If we do get a safety car, for example, I think we might not see it, especially if it's an early safety car. I'm thinking about, if there's a safety car on lap 102, don't think we will see many drivers in. Maybe some will try to take the hardest to the end. But otherwise, it should be a medium to soft strategy for everyone outside the top 10. For those inside the top 10, depending on the tire wear they've put on the tires in qualifying, depending on how gentle they were to those tires, it might be that they have to go for a soft to hard strategy, but they will probably rather try a soft to medium. Certainly a one stop, That is for sure. Difference between the softs and the mediums, over a second, almost 1.1 seconds. Difference between the mediums and the hards, pretty much half a second.
Absolutely, yeah, the margins are pretty damn big there. Of course, that is over 1 lap. Interestingly enough, Michael's the only driver outside the top 10 on a set the hard compound of tyres. That pretty much locks him into a hard to soft, hard to medium. It's just not a quick strategy whatsoever. So I guess he is going to be a little bit different to these guys. He'll be pitting in a completely trafficless pit lane, so that is one thing that he has got going for him. But we are getting ready to go underway. They are just crossing into the third sector now, and expect Liam's AI to take over very soon here. And they will be, yeah, I think you can see how his steering wheel was twitching there. We are about to get underway. The grid for the top 10: Liam Parnell, Louis Welch, Reuben Pedrano, Side Max Motorsport, Vexit. He's got Pogsit tonight, but we will be referring to him as Vexit. Dylan Warren in 5th, Kersey in 6th, Alex O'Grady in 7th, Andreas Dormeyer in 8th, Pablo Hogelar in 9th, and then Julian Naumann rounding out the top 10. Those are the guys to watch in this one, the top 10 fastest drivers in qualifying. The last of the runners, Danny Moreno, wasn't even able to put in a lap. He is starting right at the back of the order at the tail end in 20th, but here we are. The crowd, you can hear them. They're beginning to cheer in anticipation as the lights are coming on here. The engines begin to roar. It's 5 red lights here in Australia. And we are underway. Who has got the better start out of the top 2 as they ride down in towards turn number 1? It looks like Louis Welch into the first corner. He's absolutely obliterated Liam Parnell in towards turn number 1. Fights further back down the order as I believe Reuben Pedrano is fighting with Vexit. And that might actually be the other way around, because here comes Dylan Warren to the outside line of him. We'll watch these guys going at it here as Reuben Pedrano now losing the position. Almost the Vexit are going around the outside of turn number 4 in towards the first sector. The car off. That is Andreas Dormeyer, unfortunately, who has had a bit of contact with a driver behind him. More drivers trying to make up moves in this race. Bit of a timing glitch going on at the moment, but it is Louis Welch leading from Liam Parnell. Then Vexit managing to maintain P3 in this one, ahead of Reuben Pedrano and Dylan Warren in 5th position. But that was all around a pretty damn clean start.
Yeah, pretty much Dormeyer was off in turn 3. I don't know if he just missed his braking point or if he got pushed wide or whatever happened there, but he ended up just going straight on into the gravel. I think it may be that he just didn't expect the car in front of him to brake as early as they did, had to take avoiding action, and then just ended up out of road, really. And so he was off. But it seems like he has no damage, and he's already picked up a position here again off of Jake. So he's sort of trying to get back to the field, and he is doing so. Danny Moreno, meanwhile, is going into the pit lane. What's going on there?
It's a very early stop for the Mercedes driver. He's not trying to push in at all, as Jake's also got a 5-second time penalty for speeding, and Danny Moreno fitting a set of soft tyres, and yeah, front wing change going on for that Mercedes car. I wonder what the issue was, but he's pretty much locked himself into a 2-stop, because those soft tyres will not be going to the end of this race. He'll come out behind Jake as beginning lap number 2 here. Doesn't seem like there's any more timing glitches, which is very lovely to see. Louis Welch, he's taken a bit of a commanding lead in this Grand Prix of about 6 tenths ahead of Louis as Danny Moreno's left the session. I think that is him giving up for today. I don't know if that would have been lag. It might have all just been a bit convenient there if it was, but yeah, really unfortunate for him, as Bryn has also, I think, had an off. Well, he's certainly had a half spin, because he's lost a number of positions, including his teammate, and Andreas Dormeyer now up into 16th position. He'll be on a charge on those soft compounder tyres, given the fact that they still have a pretty mighty amount of grip in comparison to the drivers around him.
Yeah, it seems like we got another disconnector in Leonard. There we go, exactly. I was riding on board with Duza, and it showed a red X behind Leonard's name, but he was still driving normally and quickly. As Ika Baena is also making a massive mistake in the final corner. That might open him up to some pressure from Duza as they are battling, and we have ourselves another penalty there on the board. 2 3-second time penalties. Remember, the 5-second penalty from Jake was for speeding in the pit lane. And oh wow, Ika Baena is lagging quite a bit as well. Julian Julian is the one lagging. Sorry, mixed up the Renaults there. Julian Naumann is lagging a bit as well. Got himself a 3-second time penalty there. Being squeezed to the inside. Bryn has left the session. We're getting a lot of disconnects right now. Leonard has rejoined, but he is in P12 right now. Has not taken control of his car yet. Once all the timing disappears, that's when we know he's back in the car. Yes, it's a very weird way of telling things, but there we go. Exactly now it happened. And at least Leonard has taken control of his car again, as he is in P12 right now, battling with Michael right behind.
Yep. His connection issues can continue to plague this race. Julian Naumann to the outside of Pablo Hogler. I don't think he wanted to fight that one there all too hardly, as Andreas Dormeyer continuing his charge around the outside at turn number 13 of Krusix in the Alfa Romeo. He's now made up into 14th position. He'll be on the back of Michael at this point. No intervals as drivers have been lagging out and disconnecting and coming back into the session. But Andreas Dormeyer, we'll see what he can do on the back of the Haas car on the set of the hard compounder tyres. He's using off some of his overtake to just try and get close in towards turn number 1, putting out a slipstream. I think he wants to cool the engine just a slight bit there as they've all crossed onto the next lap, which is very good to see, because we do finally get our deltas back as Andreas Dormeyer still on the back, hounding the Haas car to the outside line of turn number 3. You can see how much later he can brake. I think he outbroke himself just a little bit too much there, because he goes onto the slight bit of runoff on the curbing, and that has really lost him a whole bunch of time. And that was probably a move that he could have made easy on himself. He decided to be a bit flashy, and I think that was what ruined him at the end of the day.
Yeah, he really tried to get that position, and he was not able to do it. It's pretty much, I would assume that was sort of similar to what he did on the first lap, where he ended up in the gravel. Just a little bit too late. A little bit, going deep into the corner. This time, thankfully, not that late that he ended up in the gravel again. But yeah, he needs to sort of calm it down a little bit, make sure that he's not that aggressive. Maybe this time he's going to pull out to the inside. And this time he's early enough on the brakes. They touch, they bang wheels. But I think Andy Dormeyer has it. He's running a little bit wide. There's the cutback. They touch again. But now the inside for Dormeyer, and he has the position safe and secured for now, as he gets a massive slide there. And this time it might be Michael. Oh,
come on.
Then they spin. Oh, I don't know what Dormeyer was thinking there. He really just blocked him. That's just way too late for a move. And Dormeyer ultimately pays the price there. Ends up and has left the session. His car is now sort of stuck there on pit exit, so it might be that his car actually gets disqualified as well, as Michael is at least moving on, but with massive damage. Don't know what was going through Andy's head there. That certainly was not on, and yeah, he left in frustration, now has been disqualified from the session for being parked in a dangerous location. Thankfully, no virtual safety car or safety car for this issue, but yeah, I really don't know what was going through his head there. I get defending, but make your intentions known early, please.
Yep, I think that was just all a bit too late. Michael was pretty much almost alongside him, and he I don't know, I can't really call anything this early on because simply we haven't got footage from both of the drivers, but the first of the soft runners pulling into the pit lane as Vexit is in for his stop. A very early pit lane entry for him. We'll see what tyres for him. I believe he should be going onto the hards because those medium tyres will not make it to the end, and it indeed is a set of the hards as Reuben Pedrano has had some issues, and he has actually got a bit of wing damage. He might have touched the wall on the outside line where Bottas lost the car early on. You can actually see his end plate is getting kicked up all around the circuit here, so that'll be wing damage for him, and he will certainly want to come into the pits to box that because the end plate is very dangerous. If it is off, you lose a lot of downforce. As Michael, he's sped into the pit lane here. He's going to fit on a set of the medium compound of tyres, of course, with wing damage as well. It probably is pretty difficult for him to brake at the same time. But yeah, he'll be getting a new front wing in this race. He'll be continuing on. Good to see him still soldiering on in this Grand Prix after his contact with Andreas Dormeyer left him with a heavy chunk of wing damage and facing the complete wrong way. He now rejoins in 19th position, right down the back of the order as more spinners. Krusix is around. How has he lost it there? That's almost mid-corner, almost in towards turn number 11. I don't know what happened with him there. and he spun the car, unfortunately. He'll be rejoining this race, but just a lot of clumsy driving, I'd say, in this one.
Yeah, a bit of clumsy driving there for sure, but the one I'm looking at right now is Vexit. I'm very surprised that he went for this massive undercut. If it works, it's the undercut of the century, I tell you that much. As Dylan Warren and Reuben Pedrano also go in for hards. And that's sort of what I was talking about earlier when I was saying, you know, maybe soft to medium is what they're going for if they qualified inside the top 10. But it seems like some of the drivers do not fancy that strategy. They don't want to take the tires that long. They'd rather, and there goes Vexit just past Dylan Warren. That was incredibly close there to the apex. Vexit just beats him out and now has some clear air in front of him as Crucix retires in the pit lane. That is a second casualty of the day. Let's hope it's not going to be many more. But to be fair, I mean, we look at it and we go, Danny Moreno has disconnected. So he kind of counts as one as well, I would assume. And we'll see how the rest goes on as Louis Welch, our leader, is being pressured so much by Liam Parnell that he actually got himself a 3-second time penalty here already after less than 7 laps.
Yeah, I think Louis Welch is probably feeling the presence of Liam Parnell right behind him. I would expect these guys actually to come into the pit lane. Liam indeed does. He'll be getting an undercut on his rival, who does stay out for at least one extra lap. Kersey also in. Alex O'Grady staying out for another lap as Julian Naumann pulls in. Pablo Hogelar stays out, so it's of the 6 soft runners that were still out on track, they've gone a complete two-way split, I suppose. But Dylan Warren, he's right onto the back of Vexit. We'll see where Vexit, this will be very interesting to see where he actually emerges in comparison to Liam Parnell. They're coming down towards turn number 1. Liam Parnell just exiting the pit lane. He will still be ahead. It might actually be very touch and go as to whether they make it round. And oh, how has Liam saved that one there? Credit to him as Reuben Pedrano pulls into the pit lane. But Liam Parnell, how about that one there? Getting turned in on Vexit. He thought he had the gap. I wouldn't say either driver is at fault, but he managed to miraculously save the car there.
Yeah, fantastic piece of driving there by Liam Parnell, and he got away with it with no damage either. So really still has a fighting chance. Still a possibility for him to get that win. But I think right now, looking at the situation with Louis Welch at the front and those 3 here, Vexit, Liam Parnell, and Dylan Warren, I think Welch is going to lose at least 1 position here to Vexit, who's pulled the massive undercut on everyone and who will most likely be able to bring those tires to the end. We might see Vexit, who had a fantastic debut last week, P7, we mentioned it before. We might actually see him win. Oh, that's a massive slide, though, on the exit of 13. And he just about made sure that the car stayed on track. But now we see Alex O'Grady in the pit lane. Louis Welch, I think at this point, his only save would be if he goes into the pit lane around lap 12 or 13, probably 12, for some mediums. Maybe lap 11 if he fancies it very much. But that's a tricky one. I think lap 12 is the safest situation for him. Goes in for mediums, and then those mediums will be significantly faster, and he might have an opportunity to overtake the likes of Vexit, Liam, Dylan Warren, but he would have to fight through the field and fight hard.
Yeah, he's going to be losing a lot to these guys who are on the undercut strategy at the moment, and it'll be very, very interesting to see where he does emerge in all of that. Yellow flags, that's for a Haas car, I would assume. Well, Vexit currently pretty much in a net P1, so I'd say that is his teammate Michael around at that point, and our guest driver really just not having a good day, but he's just been lapped as well by Louis Welch. Leonard onto the inside of Duza here through turn number 13. They're still wheel to wheel almost through turn number 14 as Leonard, he has the inside line. He's managed to keep that position there, but maybe Liam Parnell onto the back of Vexit. That could be a different story very soon, because he is closing at a rate of knots as Pablo Hogelar pulling into the pit lane. Louis Welch staying out once again in this Grand Prix. So he is certainly pushing for the medium stint to come towards him. Pablo, I'd assume he's going on to the set of the hards. Those mediums will be very touch and go if they can make it to the end. Here is Liam onto the back of Vexit. A terrible camera angle in towards the first corner. It's not really very easy to overtake through there, but possibly in towards turn number 3 if he's got a good run out the exit of turn 2. I actually think Dylan Warren as well might try and go for the overtake. Here comes Liam Parnell to the inside line of turn number 3 on Vexit, and Vexit still trying to fight this one on the outside line. He's got the inside for turn number 4. Dylan Warren still trying to fight his way in here. Kersey also not too far off the back of this as well. All these guys scrapping it out has allowed for him to catch up, as Dylan Warren having a half look to the inside line of Liam Parnell. Not close enough to go for it this time by Liam. What about in towards turn number 9? Very close to the rear, but he's just not close enough this time by. So I'd say his next best bet is in towards turn number 13. He's got to store up his ERS this time by in towards 11 and 12 and get the best run that he possibly can. Dylan Warren still lurking in the rear, as is Kersey. We could have a 4-way fight for the net race lead, as here comes Liam Parnell once again on round number 2 to the outside line of Vexit here, and he's made the move almost. No, not quite. Vexit doing a really good job as the safety car is out. That is who is retired there? How is that?
I don't think anyone has.
Oh, and Louis into the pits.
Yeah, that is perfect for Louis Welch. That is a gift from the racing gods for Louis Welch, who keeps the lead now on mediums.
Oh my word.
I mean, talk about being lucky. I mean, this is ridiculous. Welch pulls in lap 10. He's looking to take these mediums 19 laps, which difficult at best. I mean, he's really playing with fire at that point. And he gets a safety car that not only allows him to get ahead of all the drivers that pitted before him that undercut him. Vexit, Liam, Dylan Warren, Kersey. I think he would have been behind all of them. But no, now he's in front on the fresher tires, and with the safety car probably taking 2 or 3 laps. What's going to happen here for sure is that he will easily make it to the end of the race now once the race is restarted. I actually think maybe it would be better for all the hard runners here, Vexit, Liam, Dylan Warren, Kersey, if they had gone in for mediums. I think they missed a trick here. They missed an opportunity. Michael has just gotten a penalty for a collision with Ika Baena, which that's wild. Thankfully, Ika Baena did not get a penalty, because you don't want to get a penalty handed to you by a lapped car that's right behind you, especially not if you're the leader. But Ika Baena, thankfully, no penalty there. But Michael needs to be careful not to run into him again. I think he might actually pit this time around. Maybe he has some damage. Let me see. Oh yeah, that front wing is clean off. And he pulls into the pit lane, can barely turn. Oh, that's dangerous there. But yeah, he had to run into him like full speed, and he might retire this one. Speeding in the pit lane there as well. I think Michael might end up retiring. A lap down, front wing damage. No, he stays in it. Fair enough. And a 5-second penalty to serve as well. Oh my. Poor guy. But yeah, Ika Baena leading. Louis Welch, however, the net leader of the race. And it's unbelievable to me. I mean, we know how quick he is. I'm definitely not saying that he couldn't have won this race without the safety car, but it certainly helps him a whole lot.
Yeah, well, everyone does need just a little bit of luck in this one. Given how spread out the field is at the moment, you know, you got guys like Bryn who are in the 3rd sector. These guys are just about to start the 2nd sector. We'll probably do about 3 laps under safety car here. Mandatory has to do 2 laps at least. So Louis Welch's tires, they'll be even more assisted coming into the final part of the race. He probably wants to clear Duza and Baena as soon as possible, because he doesn't want them backing him up in towards the cars behind him, because those guys still have pretty worn in hard tires. I'd say they are at a very strong point in this one. None of them decided to give up track position, which is crucial for their races. They decided to stay out on the set that they were on. They probably could have, I guess, but
no, they couldn't have. They couldn't have, because by the time the safety car was announced, they were already past the pit lane, and they were then caught up by they were then greeted by the safety car, so they had no opportunity to go into the pit lane. So they were stuck between a rock and a hard place, really. And at this point, they have everyone behind them. The top 15 all behind. Bryn is about to catch up. So if they were to pit now, they would drop down to 14th and 15th, respectively.
Yeah, those two at the top, they were ahead, but the guys behind on the hard tires, they had the opportunity to come in. They decided to keep track position as Leonard's come in once again. I think this might have been pretty smart from Leonard here, because he fitted the hard compound of tires because that was mandatory to use at least 2 compounds, and he's serving a 5-second time penalty as well. I think it's pretty smart from Leonard here. He's fitting on the set of the mediums, which will easily be able to go to the end from this point, given that they are on a safety car as well for at least 1 extra lap, and they'll be lap 14. Probably, I'd expect him to catch up by the end of this lap. It would be pretty poor if he couldn't do so, but this will be pretty much the final grid order coming into this restart. I want to see where Michael is on circuit. Good thing that Michael is actually right at the back. He's the only lapped car in this race. I believe he's actually he's only 1 lap down from the front runners, but I doubt he's going to be able to take that one back. So we are about to get ready to go racing once again. Leonard in 16th position. We're just waiting for him to catch up, and you can see he is pushing to catch up to these runners in behind, as he's just through turn 7. The rest of the guys at turn 9. So Dylan Warren leaving the session. I really hope that this isn't a whole lobby shutdown. We do know that Dylan has got pretty bad connection, and it couldn't have come at a worse time. The safety car has just been announced from race control that it will be coming in at the end of this lap. Dylan Warren has managed to get back into the session, which is very lovely to see, but he is still in AI mode at this point. It'll be Baena leading from Duza, from Louis Welch as well, and there we go. The Delta's completely gone here, and that means that Dylan Warren, he is back in his car, as it is up to the Renault car, his discretion as to when and where they go. He's got to wait for the safety car to come into the pit lane. That is really the only rule that you have to follow, as Liam and Dylan, they're swapping positions. I wonder what has gone on between the pair of them. When is Baena gonna come in? Just restart this race, and I think now he might be going, and there almost he's teasing us here now through the fight. He's taking this right to the line. Are you serious here? As come on, man, he's got to restart the race at some point as they cross the line, and he is gone. He's completely backed up the field. Oh my goodness me, what are we witnessing here? As Louis Welch already making up a move on Duza, and Vexit could as well maybe trying for the overtake on Duza here. The AlphaTauri car struggling on the restart. He was completely caught napping there by Baena. Leading the Grand Prix, is almost touching between Vexit and Duza. Move being made up behind Louis Welch up into 2nd position as well, beginning lap number 14, as I think Jake has gone around, and there indeed the McLaren car is round. Both of them running in 15th and 16th. It has not been a good restart at all from them.
Yeah, O'Grady went into the pit lane to go on to medium tires. Don't know what exactly he was doing there to go into the pit lane that late, but yeah, he has. He's now 20 seconds down from everyone else.
Duza's round.
Yeah, Duza's round on the back straight there before turn 11, and he has to wait for everyone to get past. Now he's backing up and trying to get going again, and he is. By the way, I was looking back very quickly during the safety car at who or what caused the safety cars. Duza's getting back underway again. We'll have to pit for sure. And it was Michael who spun out of the final corner, and seems like he was sort of all over the track, all over the road, and blocked off quite a bit of the track. And as such, he was blocking the track, and that caused the safety car to come out. So no car crashing, but it was Michael who spun there. And Louis Welch now goes for the lead on Ika Baena, and he gets it done into turn 3. Didn't even need DRS. The tires did the job there for him. And now it is all about bridging the gap to Vexit by 3 seconds. He's already got 1.8 on him. He needs 1.2 more.
Yeah, given the difference in those hard compound of tyres, I'd say it'd be pretty easy for him to do it. It also doesn't help that Vexit has got his teammate Michael, who is on the set of the soft compound of tyres. He's a lap down. He's just unlapping himself here at this point. He's not fighting for any position, but you are allowed to unlap yourself if you are a faster driver. And at this point, the hards against the soft, well, it is pretty much no competition, but it has backed him up into Dylan Warren. There's been a big sort of rift formed between the top two and the rest of the grid, and this could see Dylan Warren capitalizing on it. No DRS for the for this lap, at least. To the outside line goes Dylan Warren. Maybe could try and get him on the switchback maneuver. He's certainly closing up to the back of the Haas car in this one. No DRS for this next part as well, as DRS has not been enabled until at least 2 laps of racing after the safety car, as through the final 2 corners they come. How will he fare in closing up to this Haas driver? No DRS until I believe it's actually the run up towards turn 13, because these share a DRS zone the first and second straight, but he still could maybe try and pip him using up some of his overtake. I don't think he's close enough this time by, as Vexit doesn't even need to use any of his overtake to stay ahead. But right now, Dylan Warren staying in 4th position. Vexit stuck in a bit of a difficult position. He's a long way off of Baena, but he is going to be catching him because those medium tyres are going off for the Renault car. But he is feeling a lot of pressure from Dylan Warren behind, so really difficult position for the Haas car tonight.
Yeah, I would expect Baena to come into the pit lane at the end of a lap 17, maybe 16 if he fancies a little bit of risk here. But probably 17, maybe even 18, knowing that we obviously had a safety car and the tires could last quite a bit longer because of it. 19, I think, would be the latest point, but at that point it's almost too late for him to come in, and only 10 laps of the softs would not really help him all too much. So I think maybe this lap if he fancies it, but probably more likely next lap he will come into the pit lane. Let's see what he does. He stays out. Yep, as expected, and grabs himself some DRS off of Michael in front, the ghosted lapped car, to defend a little bit from Vexit and Dylan Warren. And now we have a little train going on here. Let's see if Dylan Warren can get something going against Vexit. He's too far away. I don't see it happening at this point for as long as Baena is in front. And Michael on those soft tires seems quite quick as well. Now that he has a different set of tires, different compound there. He seems like he can go the pace of P2, P3, P4. Louis Welch just a bit too fast for him as well.
Yeah, Michael, he's in and amongst the leaders, but he's not in the position that he wants to be at this point. He also has 30 seconds of time penalties. Don't know how he's racked that up. We're not even near the end of the Grand Prix. We've still got a number of laps to go in this one, but he is very much struggling in this race, as Dylan Warren right up to the back of Vexit. Oh my goodness me, he got so close to the back of him in towards turn 11. That might have actually killed his run through the chicane, but he is pushing so hard onto the back of Vexit here. He can't get close enough. He probably could have saved some of that ERS that he was using in towards turn number 12 if he really wanted to, but it just was not enough for him, as Baena still feeling the pressure, I would say, from Vexit in behind. Those worn out medium tyres not going to be going much longer, and he has still got DRS from Michael in front of him, which is going to be able to help him actually down the straightaway to defend from Vexit, and Dylan Warren behind as well. Pablo Hogelar not entirely out of this too, as Kersey and Leonard as well. Leonard is in 7th position at the safety car restart. He was in 16th, so he's done so well to come back up the order. He might actually try and go for the move around the outside, as Vexit finally gets through on Baena, who's just struggling at this point on those tyres. I think they're pretty much close as puncture territory as they can be at this race, so he might want to think about a pit stop. Pablo Hogelar still trying to fight him at this point. Both of these guys in the Challenger Series, but I do believe neither of them and managed to qualify. Look at how this train has been built up at this point, all being backed up by Ika Baena, as Dylan and Vexit have managed to just completely slip away in this one. Here comes Leonard to the inside of Kersey and towards turn 11. He could get the run through this part of the corner. I think Kersey would be wise to back out here. He indeed does. Good respect shown by both of these drivers further up the grid. Here's Pablo Hogelar onto the back of Baena, and he's made that move stick. So the running order at the moment, Louis Welch 4.8 seconds ahead of Vexit, then Dylan Warren in 3rd, Hogelar in 4th, Baena in 6th, then Leonard in 6th position, Vainia's in 5th, and he might come into the pits, and indeed he does. That will promote Leonard, and it was spun. There's a spinner. That's Michael around.
Yeah, and I think the same thing led to the safety car period. The same thing we saw again there. He seems to struggle with the traction, with grip on the final corner on the rear of his car. He spins again. He spins again in turn 1. Into the wall he goes, and that's him out of the race.
Oh dear, we could see a potential safety car for that one if he has completely retired. Baenia's left the session as well. I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know what's happened to Liam Parnell as well. What has happened to him? He's way down in 13th position.
He pitted for mediums.
I didn't know. Oh, he's way off the pace at the moment. He's behind Danny Moreno, who's not been in the session for a really long time. And neither has Bryn. Bryn is going to be getting points in this race as his AI car is going to be getting points. But they might not count it.
I think Alex... Yeah, no, they will not count it for one, and I think Alex O'Grady and Liam Parnell will catch those 2 cars as well. Looking at the lap times for Liam, last lap was a 1:22.6 for him. For Danny Moreno, 1:26, yeah, 1:26.7. So we're talking 4 seconds a lap. These AI cars are significantly slower. I don't know what the exact AI setting is. Let me quickly check it. It's set to 98. Wow, pretty high here, but at the same time, not fast enough for these drivers. And Liam Parnell will definitely catch up, as will Alex O'Grady, with both of these cars, Bryn and Danny Moreno, who have gotten very, very close to each other here. Very interesting to see that as well, that both of those cars are running basically within each other almost, and are racing each other pretty hard, Alex Albon would say.
Yep, they're at least being consistent with the AI in this game, so that is lovely to see. As we'll see what is happening with Dylan Warren, because he's right up to the back of Vexit. Vexit no longer having DRS on the cars in front of him, so it could be at his disadvantage. He could be at the mercy of Dylan Warren, but you cannot forget Pavlo Hoglar and Leonard as well. Leonard only set 7 laps on those medium compounder tyres, but it might not phase Dylan Warren at this point in the Grand Prix, because now he's closing right up to the back of Vexit, defending to the inside line. Dylan Warren on the left-hand side. Is he going to stick it in there? And he indeed does, in towards turn number 14. He's so close to the back of Vexit here. He really wants to go for this move up the inside in towards turn number 15. They make contact, almost going right up the circuit. Pablo Hoglar as well, trying to get involved as he's trying to go around the outside of Vexit here, who is really struggling with his tyres. 14 laps on this hard compound tyre to the inside line goes the Williams car. 11 laps now on that set of the tyres. Job done for him in towards the first corner. What about Leonard as well? He could take advantage of the weakened Haas car, who's going to be losing about in one sector, 3 positions. He's going to the inside of Pablo Hoglar. That might not be the smartest move for him. He almost got a bit of wing damage. Leonard now with the inside line through turn number 4. Vexit going right off the circuit, but Leonard has made that move stick as Vexit, in the space of about 30 seconds, he's gone from 2nd to 5th here.
Yeah, he had no DRS, and that's a double whammy because you have 2 connected DRS straights there. Main straight and then towards turn 3. And he just had nothing to fight with. First, he was compromised through the final couple of corners by Dylan Warren, and then 1 DRS from Pablo Hoglar, 1 DRS from Leonard, and it's 3 positions just like that. And he'll have to hope that the same thing sort of happens to Dylan Warren. I just don't see it happening. Poor Vexit, really a victim of circumstance here in that situation. And I think it will only be a P5 at best for him. He needs to stay close, though. Maybe he can get at least a 4th place, as Dylan Warren has a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, Dylan Warren, it's going to be really difficult for him to actually pull out a gap to Vexit, because these guys are really similar on pace in this Grand Prix, as well as similar situations with the tyres. So it'll be very tricky for Dylan to pull that gap. He's already got a couple of seconds on him at this point, so it could be to his advantage, as Jake gets a 3-second time penalty. A lot of penalties coming out in this race so far, but none for the man in 3rd position, none for the man in 4th, as Liam Parnell puts in the fastest lap. He's only in 10th position at this point. It's been a disastrous race for the championship leader, pitting that 1 extra time. He might have had a bit of wing damage as well, which could have faltered him, but Not really too many overtakes going on circuit at the moment, as yeah, not really too much to cover at this point, I'd say. I guess we just have to wait for Pablo Joglar to bite the bullet, pull the trigger, and go for the shot on Dylan Warren.
Yeah, but he has to do it as quickly as possible. His medium tires at this point are already at the point where they are probably, well, pretty much the same speed, the same pace, and the same grip levels as Dylan Warren's hards. So at this point, I think Joglar has to make that happen as quickly as possible and then just hold on and defend. Otherwise, there's no chance, and Leonard is going to have to be the one to do the heavy lifting here. I just don't see it happening because of the DRS train. So at that point, it's a very tricky situation for all three of them, Joglar, Leonard, and Vexit, to somehow get something done and something going there. I think most likely scenario is that we're going to see them finish in that order, but then with Dylan Warren being knocked down a couple of pegs because of the penalty.
Yes, so this could be the debut podium for Leonard in a race he wasn't even scheduled to be racing in. He's just turning up as a guest tonight. Pablo Joglar, you say that his tyres are going off. He's just put in his fastest personal best sector. That might be due to DRS being in effect. Of course, 2 straight, well, I'd say 1.5 straights in the first sector of this circuit, but I'd say that is still pretty strong to be improving and at least be catching up to your rivals, and being in this DRS is going to be really helping him actually close up to the back, at least keeping pace with Dylan Warren. And you've also got to think of his ERS situation. He's got about 60% on Dylan Warren in front of him, so he's in a really strong position. Dylan Warren's only got 27% at this point, so he is really struggling with the battery. He used a lot of it to attack Vexit, who's dropped a little bit way down the order. Leonard also as well. How much the ERS he's got? He's got 30%. So I'd say Pablo Joglar, in terms of the battery, he's in a really strong position. Those tyres still going to be feeling their age. He could be in puncture territory towards the end of the Grand Prix, given we did do a couple of laps under the safety car. So I wouldn't really put it past those tyres making it to the end, but it is still going to be a scary situation when you're around that 75% area. It won't be the nicest feeling for him, I'd say.
Yeah, certainly not. I've been there when I was doing my little bit of practice here for Australia. I was in the same situation. My tires ended up being at 75% as I came across the line. I was just happy that the tire didn't pop. Just to quickly explain for all the viewers who might not know how the tire model works on this game. Once you get to 70%, the tire can pop at any moment, but the likelihood of it increases with every percent. So it's very unlikely to happen at exactly 70%. Once you get to sort of 80%, that's when it starts to be really, really likely if they didn't pop already. So the higher you get, the more likely it is. At 70% is when it starts. So they can, if you're really, really, really unlucky, as Danny Moreno might know from PSGL a couple of seasons back, they can pop at 71%. He's experienced that around Spain, his home race. So 70% is the threshold, but it will go a bit higher than that.
Yeah, we start to see a bit more frequency around about 75%. That's where most drivers will begin to start getting punctures. If you are still unlucky, it is a pretty low chance of happening. To be at that 71% that Danny Moreno had, I can't imagine what the odds would have been of that. It was really unfortunate that he did suffer that, and I believe he lost the win because of that. Yeah. I don't remember, to be completely honest. I believe it was in scene 26 of PlayStation. Yeah, it was actually him losing the win in the end. It was really a sad day. I remember being in the Instagram chat with him and just talking, and it was not good. He was not happy whatsoever. But back to the live action, because Pablo Joglar, he's saved up more of his ERS. Lap 25 at this point. I think he is beginning to start to think about an overtake on Dylan Warren, but Dylan Warren is beginning to pull away ever so slightly from the Spaniard. He probably knows that Dylan has that 3-second time penalty to his name, so regardless of whether he gets it on circuit, he will be taking P2 in this race, provided he can hold off Leonard, who is still on those medium compound of tyres. I'd say they are pretty still pretty strong on pace at this point in this Grand Prix. Is Bryn and Danny still fighting it out right at the back of the order. This is probably where majority of the overtakes have gone in this race, just between those two trading positions right down the rear of the grid. So it's good to see that those AI cars, they're pretty much evenly matched. But yeah, we continue on in this race. Lap 26 has just begun, and not much going on at the moment. I think the closest gap might actually be between Julian Naumann, who's had a bit of a quiet race in this race. Undoubtedly a strong race from him, but he has not really done too much in this Grand Prix. Just driven his run, and he's found himself fighting for a potential podium if all things goes his way. He's right behind Vexit at this point in the race. He can't quite size up an overtake, and he's got a lot less overtake than Vexit. He's got 60% in the tank, whereas Julian only has about 11. So really strong from Vexit to still be ahead at this point in the race. But if any of these guys were to take second position on circuit, who would it be?
On circuit, I think on circuit it's likely to be Dylan Warren, simply because of the penalty situation. Pablo Juglar is not going to fight it that hard, as hard as he would if Dylan Warren had no penalty. I think if Dylan Warren had no penalty, I think this is a 50-50 situation. But with the penalty that Warren has, Juglar, why would he? Why would he like potentially risk even getting a podium and try to attack Dylan Warren here? I just don't see a case in which it would happen now that he has distanced Leonard as well, and Leonard's gonna have to fight for himself and fend for himself with Vexit behind. We're really seeing we're starting to see a little bit of a gap, but Juglar, no, I think he'll take that place. He'll take that second place after penalties, and he'll say thank you very much for just disregarding the track limits one too many times, Dylan Warren.
Yeah, I believe this might actually be Pablo's second podium of the season, if it is the case. I believe back in Bahrain, I can quickly just check if he did pick up a podium. He did indeed get a podium. He's fourth in the standings at the moment on 30 points. That's going to be a strong haul of points for him coming back the way of Williams. I've just got a foot cramp, so I'm in a bit of pain at the moment, but he will be jumping most likely Nicholas Mateo and OMG. It's Joe. I don't think he'll be close enough to actually be jumping ahead of Liam Parnell, but certainly he will be making some gains. He actually needs a win to be on the same points tally as Liam, so it won't be going the way of him. But certainly second position in the championship, that is something that he would be very pleased with if he does manage to pick up this second place. As Leonard, he has not got DRS on Pablo in front of him. That has pushed him back the way of Vexit, who's really putting on the pressure at this point in the Grand Prix. Lap 20 has just begun as a big slide out of turn number 2, and that has killed his run coming in towards this third corner, and he wasn't able to make a move. I think he probably would have been able to make that move stick if he was close enough, and he'd have been in P4, because those medium tires on Leonard, they are completely going off at this point.
Yeah, I think they've seen their best days, weirdly enough, because his tires should be still in the best condition, but for some reason they aren't. Maybe he's been overdriving them a little bit. That could certainly explain it. But yeah, very surprising that maybe Vexit might be able to get a move and potentially get a podium out of this after all. I think after his massive undercut, where he really took the risk, I think it would be a nice reward for him as well to get that podium. But let's talk about the live standings as the way they would be if the race finishes like this. So Louis Welch was 11th on 15 points. He would move up 1 point behind, oh my god, it's Joe, to 40. Joe is second right now. Of course, Juglar would move up further. So Juglar, if he gets that second place, he would be on 48, Joe on 41, and then it would be Louis Welch on 40. But, I mean, we look at everyone else. Liam Parnell, well, he's in P10. He gets 1 point. He'll be at 56. Joe, not here. Mateo, not here. Juglar, as mentioned, there goes Vexit on Leonard around the outside in turn 3. Little bit of a dive bomb there from Vexit around the outside. He tried his best, but Leonard's tires still held up well enough through the corner to counter that and keep that 4th place right now. The more time they cost each other, the more they guarantee, though, that Dylan Warren might still end up with a podium here. But let's go back to the standings. Josh Idowu, not here. Jake Benham, not here. Dario Yamulo, not here. Barry Borman, not here. Danny Moreno, disconnected. Ruben Vallejo, not here. HX4K, not here. You see where this is going? Antoine Zaleski, not here. Yari, not here. Kersey, he would be the next one in P15.
Sorry, I've just got to cut in here. Louis Welch coming through the final corner. It's lap 29, the final lap of the race. He's dominated this Grand Prix after making the perfect strategy call, and it has come. Luck has come his way. He takes the win. Dylan Warren's going to hold off Pablo Hogalar on circuit, but it does indeed go the way of the Williams car in second position. Leonard does eventually just about jump Dylan Warren to take P3 in the end, vex it in P4. He's crashed right across the line there as all the Ferrari car of J. Cole, I believe he's picking his first points of the season in this race. There's carnage at the back. Oh my goodness me, as it's a graveyard, as I believe that was Liam's car going into a complete spin. The race is over here. Louis Welch winning, and what a way to do it. Finishing way out in front of ahead of his rivals. I believe in the end he was about 7.5 seconds in front of Pablo Hogalar. Brilliant stuff from him.
Yeah, I mean, well done. He got that little bit of luck. He got the hand of the racing gods reaching down to him and giving him that safety car at exactly the right time. He was already in the pits before it was called, so he got really, really lucky there that it was called in that moment. But still, what a deserved victory ultimately as well for Louis Welch, and very, very much needed for not just him in the standings. He moves up to P4, but also for Mercedes. They were 18 points behind Racing Point, and we'll quickly go through the constructor standings as well as much as we can. For Mercedes, that's 25. They'll be at 68 now. Racing Point will get 11, so they'll be at 72. McLaren gets 1 for Alex O'Grady. They'll be at 61. Red Bull, well, they get themselves 15, so they'll be at 71. Which is, oh, actually, 12 for Racing Point, so they're 73, yes. So 2 points between Racing Point and Red Bull. AlphaTauri, well, they get a big fat 0, so they'll be at 52. Mercedes, as mentioned, 68, so 3 teams there within 5 points of each other. We look at Haas, they get 12, they'll be up to 55. Williams get a nice points all with Pablo Hogalar, they get 18 up to 52. Ferrari, well, they get themselves 4 up to 30. Renault are scoring as well, a nice 8 points up to 26. And Alfa Romeo, they are scoring too, with Kersey there, 6 points for them. That's up to 20, but they remain in last.
Yeah, so that is the comprehensive championship standings. Of course, this is before any stewards' inquiries. Everything is subject to change. But with this win for Louis Welch, that has made it 5 different winners in 5 different Grand Prix. As it's been brilliant to have this season go this way so far. All the winners so far this season, well, round number 1, won by Nicholas Matteo. Then round number 2, won by Barry Boromand. Round 3, Joe Hannon took the win in that brilliant Bahrain Grand Prix. And the previous week, we saw Danny Moreno take the win in Abu Dhabi. But today, it has gone the way of Louis Welch, his second podium of the season and his first win. What a drive from Louis Welch, and I'm sure he is very happy about that when I see him in the Twitter chat. Actually, he's exclaiming in joy as to how his race has gone. And you know what? I do feel I can get how he feels. You know, winning a race when you have a penalty as well from an early point. He was feeling the pressure from Liam a lot in this Grand Prix. But you just got to think about that start from him. He managed to jump him in towards the first corner. And that really must have been what done it, because he was able to control the race from that point. And granted, he did get a little bit lucky with the safety car coming up, but I still think his pace undeniably was the king above anyone else.
Yeah, his pace certainly was there quite significantly, quite clearly. And again, I'm not sure if he would have won without the safety car. But there certainly is a possibility, because he would have gone on to medium tires. He would have had a significant pace advantage over all of the hard runners without the safety car. And he very well could have overtaken all of them Would have been a matter of picking your moments, and we know how good Louis Welch is at that. He can pick his moments quite well, where to overtake. That's one of the things he is very, very good at. His racecraft certainly at a very, very high standard. So I think the safety car made it a bit easier for him, but I think we would have seen him possibly as the winner either way. So definitely very well deserved for Louis Welch to win this race and move himself up to 4th in the standings at Mercedes as a constructor, up to 3rd.
Absolutely, it's been a brilliant Grand Prix that we've seen here. I don't think we have time for interviews, given the fact that we had to restart qualifying, and it's been quite a long time in this race. But thank you everyone for sticking with us for that brilliant Grand Prix. Louis Welch is your winner of the Australian Grand Prix, as it has been what a journey we've seen from him. I'm just trying to see if you can actually. I know that you're a lot more well versed in the calendar. So where are we headed next week, Austin?
We are headed to what I always consider the traditional season finale. It will not be our season finale. It will be the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache in Sao Paulo and Interlagos, Brazil is going to be our next stop. And a great track, very, very short compared to Albert Park. Pretty much 1 kilometer shorter. Or for the Americans, 0.6 miles shorter. Don't think we have many of those watching, but hey, just in case. Very fast track as well, just like Albert Park. And we have a very different tire situation around there, but nonetheless, also a very interesting one. So stay tuned for that next Tuesday here on the Racing Liga TV channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, let your friends know about us and the action that you've watched here tonight. And bring some of your friends for next Tuesday as well, or for some of the other Racing League. Actually, there aren't any more. They have all finished their seasons. I've just just remembered that again. They have all finished their seasons. But for next season, there's going to be a lot going on as well in the German speaking leagues here as well. But this is the RL Global, and we will see you Brazil next Tuesday. Thank you very much for watching, everyone.
Absolutely, and make sure you follow us on Twitter as well. I thought I'd throw this one out there, RL_global. That'll go a really long way for helping the league. They're almost at 200 followers as well. They're on 198. Who's going to take that coveted 200 spot? But from us, that is goodbye for the Australian Grand Prix next week. As previously mentioned, we'll be heading to Brazil, and it's going to be a brilliant race. But everyone, it's been a pleasure being your commentator for tonight alongside Austin. It's been great to have you here as well. But from us, it is goodbye, and we will see you next week. Have a good evening, everybody.